Sure. I mean, Michigan's going to be tougher because you got a bunch of constituencies that we need that right now are grumpy, to say the least. The big Muslim community there in Michigan, they are not happy with the way that Joe Biden has been handling the situation in Gaza. And you also have a lot of young people of color, especially African Americans and some African American men, that are just frustrated in general with the state of things. And so you've got a very short period of time to get those two groups back on board. Don't forget, Donald Trump has won in Michigan before. He won.
So that's not. I feel like that's kind of being blown out of proportion. That's Van Jones. He's talking about the Muslim and Black community. Oh, he's got to get everybody back on board, with regards to Michigan, and this has to do with the conflict between Hamas and Israel. And there's a sizable Arab community in Dearborn, Michigan, that doesn't believe that Israel really has a right to defend itself, and they want a ceasefire. Did they ask what happened to the ceasefire from October 6th? Because you had one on October 6th, but Hamas didn't want it. Welcome back to the program. Dana Lesh here with you, bottom of this second hour. So I think it's being overblown because I was looking at, bear with me, I got a million things here in front of me, so it'll take me a beat to get them all spread apart. So the uncommitted was barely 13% of the vote, and it took 2 delegates away from Biden in the primary results. And I was looking at, I don't really care about the Trump-Haley thing in Michigan. It was 68 to 26, 3% uncommitted. That was it. 4 delegates for Haley, 12 delegates for Trump. It's a delegate race, and he's winning right now. So I am looking at the Democrat, and it was only 2 uncommitted. And they were saying, well, in 2020, Biden had a narrow defeat. But this presupposes, though, as well, that these people would this voting bloc would in any way go for Trump. And it's not going to happen. It's not going to go for Trump. And you cannot, it is so dumb. And these people ought to know better. You don't compare primary behavior to general behavior because you're dealing with 2 entirely different things. You're dealing with two entirely different people. You can't compare the 2 of them. And so I'm looking at the vote from 2020 because it was close, but not insanely close. And honestly, if I'm looking at the 13% of committeds in a general election, I just don't think that ends up, maybe taking a point or 2 away from Biden in a general election. But I don't think that these people are this voting bloc is not going to go for Trump, and they're not going to allow it to where Trump actually wins in that. So in 2020, it was the 16 electoral votes in Michigan went to Biden, obviously, and he had 50.62% of the vote, whereas Trump had 47.84% of the vote. And the big, obviously, when you break everything down to identity politics, which is so dumb, if you have to, because I know the left loves doing that. If you're breaking everything down according to race, sex, whatever. This was always projected to be lean Dem or solid Dem. 538 had it as the solid Dem. It's always been like that. RCP had it as toss-up, which I thought was dumb because there's no way. I think there was some bad polling that they had included in that. And all of the aggregated polls from 270 to win to 538 to elsewhere, it was pretty much on target with that. Now, in looking at some of the, let me look at this, the voting blocks of this. You had young people, you had the Black community, you had the Arab community that voted for Biden. That's not going to change in this election, even over just this issue, because I think they would have to surmise that they would have a better chance with Biden than they would Trump. So I think it's overblown, but I think that it's overblown by Democrats and the media on purpose because they need it as an agitator. They need it as a get out the vote agitator to to motivate people. If they're going to have a problem, even a small problem with a small percentage of voters, they're going. I mean, they're gonna try to agitate and get out the vote some other way. But it's just, I mean, I kept hearing it over and over again. I was reading this one piece about it, in that, like, for instance, the co-organizer, it's the uncommitted people that's run by Rashida Tlaib's sister. They were standing outside of Islamic centers. Like, one was standing outside the Islamic Center of Detroit, distributing pamphlets, encouraging people to vote uncommitted. There are two grassroots organizations, Listen to Michigan and Abandoned Biden. Those are the two groups. And they said that they wanted everyone to vote uncommitted so that they can push him towards more pro-Hamas policy. And Tlaib had said in a video, this is even Rashida Tlaib, she said she was, quote, proud to walk and pull in a Democrat ballot and vote uncommitted. And they said that the Listen to Michigan people, they wanted 10,000 people to vote uncommitted. And they said, quote, we want to be able to wake up the next day, on Wednesday today, and be able to claim Michigan as a pro-Palestinian state, etc. Now I'm looking at the rundown here. You've got, 81% for Biden, only 13%, barely 13% uncommitted. And then you add for Dean Phillips, 2.7. 3% for Marianne Williamson. I mean, you have half for the other candidates as you would. It seems overblown, right, Kane? I feel like this is overblown. Oh, yeah. Entirely overblown. But they want this desperately. They want to be able to change where he is on this, to try to push him towards this easy on Hamas kind of position, and I just don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. So that's where it is. Now the other things with the Michigan primary, we said Trump obviously was pulling this up. Trump obviously ended up beating the pants off of Nikki Haley here. That's to be expected. Let's see. They barely had 2% uncommitted. I think that was it. So it kind of went exactly as we thought it would. And I don't really see, honestly, I can't see Biden having all of that much of a problem with Michigan going into the general, if I'm being honest. I just don't. Like I said, I feel like it's really overblown. It's overblown.